Israeli minister lets Trump have it for calling its defense minister a jerk, praising Hezbollah as smart. I think the insult-fest days of one Donald J. Trump are coming to an end. Simply, peacetime and wartime are very different things. In a carefree world of mostly peace, idiocy can flourish. Because people have time on their hands, and life in good times is not as serious as life in wartime. Over the weekend a second theater of war broke out on this planet, and spectacularly so. The attack by Hamas has been deemed Israel's 9/11, but in fact it's much worse than 9/11 was. People were not bludgeoned, raped or decapitated on 9/11. They were last weekend in Israel, however. Time equals 400 ms, greater than as you read here last night. Trump was doing his usual crazy, drunk uncle schtick in Florida when he crossed a line so basic that even Ron DeSantis felt empowered to confront him on it. Trump praised Hezbollah. Here's that clip. If you missed it, that's fine for Catskills comic time. It's fine for MAGA, who loves it when their cult hero, the iconoclast Trump, takes shots at people and institutions. Everything is a laugh riot to them. Nothing is sacred, including the 1,200 Israelis and 22 Americans who lost their lives, murdered in cold blood by smart terrorists. The Times of Israel reports the reaction to Trump's vulgar and tone-deaf idiocy. Time equals 400 ms, greater than Communications Minister Shlomo Kari responds to former U.S. President Donald Trump, who appeared to mock Israel for failing to anticipate the weekend Hamas onslaught and for not going on the offensive against Hezbollah amid several deadly clashes along its northern border. Trump also launched personal attacks against Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, whom he accused of letting him down, and Defense Minister Yoav Gallant, whom he called a jerk. Kari told Israel's Channel 13 that it is shameful that a man like that, a former U.S. president, abets propaganda and disseminates things that wound the spirit of Israel's fighters and its citizens. Time equals 400 ms, greater than. We don't have to bother with him and the nonsense he spouts, Kari says. Asked if Trump's comments make it clear that he can't be relied on, Kari replies, obviously. Trump's comments stood in sharp contrast to the full-throated support given to Israel by serving U.S. President Joe Biden and his officials, who have expressed steadfast backing of the country as it reels from the brutal massacres committed by Palestinian terrorists in Gaza border communities over the weekend. And being Trump, it can only get worse, right? And so it does. Trump has spoken about impeaching Benjamin Netanyahu because he's mad at Benji for acknowledging that Joe Biden won the 2020 election. In recent days, Trump has had phone calls with various pro-Israel GOP allies and donors who want to know how Trump would handle Israeli-Palestinian matters if re-elected. Two sources familiar with the matter tell Rolling Stone. Trump has relayed a few ideas he has discussed with policy advisors, including cutting off all aid to Palestinians and encouraging other nations to do the same, as well as capturing and extraditing certain Hamas figures. But during these private conversations, Trump has also spent an inordinate amount of time aggressively trashing Netanyahu. In a recurring comment Trump has yet to voice publicly, the former president, and former close ally of the Israeli Prime Minister, has expressed his strong desire for Netanyahu to be gone by the time Trump would potentially be back in office in 2025, the sources recount. Since Hamas attacked Israel on Saturday, Trump has said Netanyahu should be impeached by the Israeli parliament because the assault, which was preceded by an apparently catastrophic intelligence failure on the part of Netanyahu's government, occurred on his watch. Israel's parliament cannot impeach a prime minister in the same way Congress can impeach a president in the United States. Trump has also asked multiple longtime advisors if he should now publicly call for Netanyahu to step down as prime minister. Some confidants and allies have recently recommended that he not do it this week, as the dead are still being counted and a major war seems underway. The private comments track with Trump's public speech on Wednesday, in which he criticized Netanyahu and Israeli intelligence while referring to the Iran-backed terrorist group Hezbollah as smart. In a meandering monologue, the former president declared himself the best friend Israel had in the White House by far, but lamented that he did have a bad experience with Israel. So there's that idiocy, and then there's the idiocy on Brian Kilmeade's radio show, which you can listen to here, which is more of the same. I recommend taking the time just because there are so many wild things said here, such as how Iran used to be broke but then Trump came along and then they started making money. The transcript from this show alone should be entered into a petition to put this man under observation as a danger to himself or others and get him involuntarily committed. I think Trump might just have shot himself in the foot. He has gone too far this time. And yes, I know we've been saying that for 7 years, but in all things there is eventually a tipping point. Abraham Lincoln famously said, "Public sentiment is everything. With public sentiment, nothing can fail. Without it, nothing can succeed." I think that Trump has finally tanked his dwindling reservoir of public sentiment. He really needs to STFU, which is something that everybody from his inner circle handlers to judges have been trying to impress upon him for a very long time.